Hello and welcome to Two Old Chuffs, a tale of two hospices. They've let us come back. I'm amazed. I'm Tamsin Thomas.
And I'm Gina Starnes.
And we've got lots to talk about. And this time round, we're talking about, I'm not quite sure how this subject fits us, marathon running.
Da, da, da.
So you were going to sing at this point?
Yeah, that's it.
That slow motion music. Have you ever run a marathon?
No, I've walked a marathon.
Yeah.
I did 26 miles around London, the moonwalk.
And I did a similar midnight walk last year, marathon course walking, but overnight.
Yes. Which
is a really odd experience, especially when you get to the hallucinating stage.
At 4 o'clock in the morning.
And it's pitch dark. And we came, this was in the Falklands, so a long way away.
Oh, wow.
We came down round this road and it was a really well organised event. So every mile or so, there was a 4x4, back open, food, drink, everything else. But there were a row of cars to stop you going on because that was the turning point. And while we were having our water, there was a lady sat in this car and she had a little dog on her lap. And I said, gorgeous little dog, how long have you had that? And she said, it's not a dog, it's a baby and I'm breastfeeding.
Oh dear. Serious hallucination then.
So I kind of hoped in the dark she wouldn't ever recognise me again. But no, certainly haven't run a marathon. However, we have a guest with us today. Welcome Jane Appleton from our fundraising team, who has run a marathon.
I have. I've run 2, in fact.
Wow. Show off.
Sorry. Yes, I did the London Marathon for Cornwall Hospice Care in 2017. A most amazing experience of my life. Second only to having children.
Wowza.
In terms of pain or joy? Sorry.
Bit of both, to be fair. Like you say, you get to that point where you start hallucinating and it does become a little painful. Although the Cornish Marathon was more painful than London.
Was it really?
Yeah, very, very hilly.
Okay.
So just go right back. Whatever made you think, I want to run a marathon?
When I was 8 years old, my friend's dad ran the London Marathon and he came into school and I really wanted his medal and tinfoil blanket. And I thought, one day I'm going to do that. I'm going to get one of those tinfoil blankets. And then didn't really think about it much until I took up running in 2011. And I thought, well, if I can do 7 miles, I can do a half marathon. So I did our Run Falmouth, the first ever half marathon that we put on and that I'd ever run. It was a painful experience, but I thought if I can do that, I reckon I can do a marathon. So that's sort of where the thought came from, really.
You said I took up running in 2011. What's the story there? What makes someone suddenly, or not so suddenly, take up running?
I wanted to lose my baby weight after having my oldest child, and it was cheaper than the gym, basically. And I started it and discovered that actually I wasn't too bad at it. I could maintain a pace and my distances got longer. And I wanted to run a local event in Towerdreth and thought, well, let's give it a go. So I did. And it kind of stemmed from there, really.
So was that the Towerdreth Trotter?
Yes, yeah.
It's that's not just I started on that. I did it once. I did it by mistake because I didn't realise it was 7 miles. I thought it was 7 kilometres, which was pushing my luck.
But you did it well, Tamsin. I was there. You did it well.
So proud, so proud. But I'm always fascinated that people find they can run. I did Couch to 5K and seriously thought I could never, ever do it. I thought it was a con. I genuinely did, till the day I run my first 5K and thought, well, that works.
I think you get to a point and it becomes putting one foot in front of the other, but you want to get to the finish line to see your family, your friends, or to get your medal. And if you can do one distance, you think, well, maybe I can do the next distance. And so 7 miles became 13 for me, and 13 became, well, let's see if we can do 26. It turns out I can. And then back in November when I did the Cornish Marathon, that was a training run for me for an ultra marathon. So it sounds crazy, but it is about putting one foot in front of the other.
And mindset, quite a lot about mindset.
Very much so,
determination.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you get to a certain distance, it really is stubbornness, a will to complete it, and not to not let yourself down, but to show that you can do it, and the hours, weeks, months of training that you've put in is worth it because you've got there. I think anybody that runs longer distances will probably get a did not finish under their belt at some point, but the sort of the determination to complete that run becomes a little bit addictive, I think.
What are the tricks then? How do you keep going for 11 or 21 miles?
I think I'm quite a stubborn person, but once you've done it once, you think, well, if I've done it once, I can do it again. I think the first time I ran up the hill from Charlestown towards the hospice, the first time I actually managed to achieve that, running all the way without stopping, I thought, well, if I've done it once, I can do it again. So now every time I run up that hill, I think, right, come on, you can do this. You've done it before. And it becomes the same for a distance. For London, I knew I could get to about the 22 miles. So I thought, if I can get to 22 miles, I'm almost at embankment then. So then it's a matter of the crowds and the cheering just getting me to the end.
And does that carry you around?
Oh, definitely.
People always talk about it carries you around.
At 100%. I had my name on my vest, so people I didn't even know were screaming, "Go on, Jane, you can do it!" And you think, "Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know you, but of course I can." And children on the side of the road, they're holding a sign up with like a little Mario power up, and press here to go faster, which my son thought was fantastic when I told him when I got home. But yeah, it just for me, certainly on the longer distances, knowing that I'm going to see family and friends at the end, it's right. Got to keep going. Got to get to them. And my pint of Thatcher's Gold.
Fantastic. Sponsored by.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah,
I was to say at this point, other ciders are
are available. Yes.
And tell me about I'm always fascinated by what you can remember. What do you take in at something like the London Marathon? Or don't you? Are you so blinded to it all?
The crowds, the support. But when I went to London, Liam was 8 at the time, my son was 8 at the time, and he said, "Mum, I want you to take a picture of Tower Bridge, Big Ben, the Queen's House and the London Eye." So I'm coming up to Tower Bridge, my phone came out, I kept running, took a photo, brilliant. Totally missed Big Ben though, and then I saw the official photos sort of a day or so afterwards and thought, wow, I actually did run past Big Ben. Who knew? So at that point I must have been a little bit delirious or whatever, and missed seeing it, but there's some really iconic photos with Big Ben in the background, which is quite amazing. But yeah, I think it's the atmosphere on the day. Even at the start line, the atmosphere is just so electric, and that's the same for any event you do, whether it's 40,000 people or 400 people.
That support is so important, isn't it, to
Yeah.
get you around. And on the day, I think those marshals play such a fantastic role in keeping you going.
But other runners as well.
Yeah.
You see it on the telly where there's a runner a few hundred yards from the finish that's just fallen, and other runners are scooping them up and getting them across the line. And I saw it happen when I was at about 25 miles, and I went over, and there's a man helping this man who's fallen, and he said, "Just keep going, you're doing well." And okay, I don't need to be told twice. But because at that point you really are just putting one foot in front of the other, and things hurt and ache, and there's...
And do you get hungry?
I didn't at London, or even when I did the Cornish Marathon, I didn't get hungry there. But on the longer distances, yeah. But when I finish, I'm ravenous and I'm shoving anything in my mouth that I can get. But certainly when I do the longer distances, I ran the 32-mile rat race in August 2018, and I did get a bit peckish on that one. I had my golden syrup sandwiches and my hula hoops to get me up the hills.
And who was the runner that had to go to the loo during the London Marathon? Very famous.
Paula
Radcliffe,
yeah.
wasn't she?
Did that happen? Does it happen? What do you do?
I did stop in the conveniences at London, which are nicely placed along the route, but I lost a bit of time in a queue because I didn't quite have the nerve to do what Paula did. But yes, it does happen.
Gosh. Well, you're listening to Two Old Chuffs, a tale of two hospices, and today we're talking marathons, and we're talking with Jane Appleton, who's from our fundraising team and is herself a marathon runner, but is going to be telling us in a minute about the importance of marathons to our charity. So Jane, we've heard your experiences of marathon running. Now you're also encouraging others. So what's the tie-up between Cornwall Hospice Care and marathon running?
Fundraising. It's a really great way to encourage your family and friends to give you money when you run a long way.
Yeah. I'd be wanting an awful lot of encouragement, lots of money. So how does it work?
So we have an allocated 15 gold bond places from London Marathon ourselves. So that means each year we can take 15 runners up to London and cheer as they run round for us. And in that time from October to April when they run, they're fundraising as well as training, holding different events, quizzes, bingo nights, just general fundraising online, whatever they can do. Cake sales are a great fundraiser as well.
And do you help people think about good ideas for
Yeah, we
fundraising?
support them from the office. So this year I've actually got a team of 22.
Okay.
So we've got the 15 places. There were 3 people who were deferred runners from last year's event. And then we've also got a few people that were lucky enough to secure their own place but have decided that they'd like to support us whilst they're training and running the marathon. So a lot of them are holding events. We've got a bingo night next week. We've already had a bingo night a couple of weeks ago. Another lady's got a quiz coming up, and a couple of cake sales in the offing as well. So lots going on.
And collectively, they raise a staggering amount of money.
Yes, I think 2017 was a real bumpy year for us, and we got to about £72,000.
Wow. It's a phenomenal amount of money.
It is a huge amount of money. Each of the runners, the gold bond places do, for any charity, carry quite a high fundraising target. So ours is £1,850 for this year, which does sound quite overwhelming to each of the fundraisers. But actually, when you break it down, their families and friends are supporting them. And I mean, I raised about £500 in one cake sale, which was phenomenal. But, you know, when you break it down, it is manageable, and they have 6 months to do it. So we like to support them, and some people will sort of find it, they'll embrace it more than others. But, you know, we get there, and each year we get them to their targets. And most, you know, a lot of them will surpass their targets as well without even realising that they've done it.
Remember the amazing lady, was it a couple of years ago, did the marathon for us dressed as an ice cream?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have actually spoken to her about doing it dressed as a beer. But, you know, that was a by conversation. She seemed quite keen, though.
Because there's always that man who dresses as, is he a rhino?
Oh, there's quite a few rhinos.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
And the diving man as well, the guy in a diving suit.
I saw
think,
Jesus.
Okay.
He had a cross and a crown and nothing on his feet. So I sort of ran past him. Well done,
Are you
Jesus.
sure you weren't hallucinating?
No, because other people were congratulating him too. He was definitely there. But yeah, there's several rhinos that run the marathon, and a womble. I got overtaken by a womble when I was in that toilet queue.
Yeah. See, that's embarrassing.
Oh, I know, frustrating. I wanted to catch him, but as I crossed the finish line, I could see him up ahead getting his medal.
In a tiny way, but very like it's when you're at the park run and someone runs by pushing twins in a buggy. Just think, right, okay,
Yeah.
I've lost it now.
Yes, yeah, it is frustrating, but go to the womble. Fair play.
Well, Gina, who is one of the 2 old chuffs, you're also the clinical services director. How does that money equate to our front line?
I think the great thing about Cornwall Hospice Care is that actually the money that people raise actually does get ploughed into making a huge difference for those patients on the ward. And, you know, as we've said, you know, increasing beds, it all costs, the staffing to increase beds. And actually it's also, it's great for our staff to be able to meet people that have raised the money for us. So we would always encourage people to come in at check presentations and to talk to staff. And we've also had staff that have run the marathon as well, actually on the unit. So one of our healthcares did it, I think, a couple of years ago and would like to try and do it again. So
Emma Eden, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think she's doing it this year.
Yeah, she was lucky enough to obtain a public place this year. So yeah, she's running again.
Yeah, so I think people do get the bug, don't they? Really.
Oh, definitely.
But I think, you know, for us, it's hugely important that people support us in any way they can. And like you say, yes, the running's important, the training's important, and the fundraising important, and it's coming to such a good cause.
Yeah, it's just when you see that sea of people on the television,
Yeah.
you know, and you just think of all the thousands of charities that are probably represented. I mean, I know the front end of the London Marathon is very exciting, and the serious Olympic type standard people. But what I love is when you see the BBC always do a shot across the bridge, and there's just this sea of colour because people are in different vests and outfits and everything else. I mean, to be amongst that must be almost overwhelming.
It was a little bit, and when you watch it on the telly and you see them at the start line and there's all those thousands of people there, when you get there, it's just electric. But you hear, they do the countdown from 10 and then say go, and then you sit there for 23 minutes before you cross the start line because there's just so many people. It's overwhelming, but in a completely amazing and fantastic way.
So how can people just help generally? Because there are those of us who are beyond the idea of running a marathon right now. Is it a case of looking out for folk and supporting their events?
Look out for the events that are coming up. We list them on our website. They'll get some coverage on our social media channels. If there's a cake sale outside your local shop, go and spend 50p on a muffin and help a runner.
And of course, you were talking about the hell that is the Cornish Marathon.
Yes.
We have a half marathon, don't we?
We do, Run Falmouth. And this year will be on the 15th of March, which is a Sunday. We set off from Pendennis Castle at 10 o'clock in the morning and pound the streets of Falmouth and beyond. It's a tough one in terms of there's a lot of hills, but it's Falmouth. However, it's a lovely route. It's one of the most picturesque runs in Cornwall, I think. It's a beautiful event and it's really good. I've run it and helped organise it, so I've seen it from both sides, and it is a really lovely event. I'm
looking at Gina because we ought to go and walk the course one day.
We should.
It is beautiful, but it
will be hilly.
What did you say? What word did you just use? Tough? No, it's beyond. Yeah. It's beyond tough. There is one hill at least.
Oh, there's a couple of hills in there. Yes. There's one particular one. We go past the beaches on the left, and it's so beautiful. And then you go around the corner, and there's just this sheer face of hill in front of you, and it goes on forever. However, you're quite early into the race, so you're still around lots of people, and there's lots of encouragement up the hill. And
when you get I can't help but think that you're underestimating that incline. I feel really I'm getting that vibe. So yes, maybe, or with a Segway, perhaps we could do it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yes, that's a good thought.
On a moped. Yeah.
I have we were helping at Run Falmouth one year. See, that's what I do. I'll offer to help. I'm not actually taking part. And got to this water station. It was the first water station the runners were going to get to, and there was no one there. I was just driving by, and I thought, right. So I stopped, and I think I phoned you probably and said, what's supposed to happen? And then I found where they'd hidden the paper cups and everything else in this thing behind a hedge. Got it out, started laying it out. But Jane's now saying they've started. Oh my Lord, and I'm putting these cups out. And this police car went by, and he slowed down long enough for me to shout, stop. And he got out, and I was like, the runners are coming. So this policeman now in his uniform, he's helping to put these cups out. And he sees this young lad, and he said, this lad, he's in trouble with me. Oi, lad, come here. If you help, you'll be all right. Well, this lad turned to, and we literally got the cups ready, and were able to just gently hand the first cup out to the first runner.
Fantastic.
As if there'd been no fuss at all. By the end of it, we were all lying in the hedge, looking shattered. But it's another thing, isn't it?
Event day traumas.
But again, that's all in support of the hospices and our charity.
Yeah, so every penny we raise at Run Falmouth will fund the nursing care, keeping patients in beds.
Well, thank you so much. Gina and I, well, I don't know about you, Gina, but I'm in awe of you.
Tamsin, I'm going to get you round Run Falmouth one day. It is my absolute aim in life now.
I'll be there with a damp flannel for you and a foot rub.
Just make sure at the first water station.
Yeah, but maybe after the first 100 metres, Gina, you could meet me. The very best of luck to all our marathon runners. Yeah,
100%.
They are superstars beyond. And thank you to you for all you do to support them as well, and for coming in and sharing your marathon stories. We're both quite warm now. I think we probably need to have a massage and a post-exercise cool down. Do you think, Gina? Lovely. You can run away. Take us a bit longer. Thank you. You've been listening to Two Old Chuffs, a tale of two hospices.